Welcome, everybody. Hi. It's great to see you all here, these beautiful faces, new faces, some older ones, and our friends online around the world. Thank you for joining us. Welcome all to Georgetown University. We are the oldest Catholic university in the country, and welcome to Women's Herstory Month year. In this 50th anniversary of International Year of the Woman, which took place in 1975. We are pleased to present Faith, Feminism, and Being Unfinished 3, Love Wins. We are grateful to gather here with you to explore conscience, creativity, and the call for global gender justice, featuring musical artist, whale whisperer, and Georgetown SFS alum, Michaela Harrison, and conversation with Kate McElwee and Katie Lace, the prophetic, visionary, and fearless leaders of the Women's Ordination Conference. My name is Jane Varner Malhotra, and I am the Director of Advancement Communications here at Georgetown. And I'm an alum of Dartmouth College and Georgetown. Today is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. This is 5 years to the day that the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. How blessed we are to be together here in the gorgeous Maria and Alberto de la Cruz Gallery, hosted by Georgetown's Gender Plus Justice Initiative. We humbly stand on the sacred homeland of the Two Rivers Piscataway people, among others, just steps from the majestic Potomac River. This evening's program is inspired by the 2009 Madaleva Lecture at St. Mary's College in South Bend, Indiana, by moral theologian, sister of the Holy Names, and my aunt and mentor, the late Anne E. Patrick, on women, conscience, and the creative process. Anne was born in 1941, just across the courtyard, just back here, at the original Georgetown Hospital, and spent her final years participating in medical research and receiving excellent care for breast cancer down Reservoir Road at Georgetown Lombardi and MedStar Georgetown University Hospital. When she died in 2016, she donated her body to our medical school. Anne was a professor of women's and religious studies at Carleton College in Minnesota and helped organize the first women's ordination conference in Detroit 50 years ago. We are grateful to our sponsors and supporters. Too many to name all, but a few include our Georgetown CETS team, Nealon's and Friends, the GEMS facilities crew, office catering, my immediate and extended Patrick family, Carol Sargent, founding director of Georgetown's Office of Scholarly Publications, Liz McCluskey of Five Theses, Annie Selleck of the Women's Center, and our hosts this evening, Alice Kukapa and Melissa Hafaf of the Gender Plus Justice Initiative. We are also thrilled to welcome several previous presenters from our 2018 and 2023 unfinished events, as well as each one of you who took precious time to come and be in community with us tonight, whether virtually from around the world or here in person. We also thank Gallery Director and Chief Curator Janelle Hazard and Emma McMorrin, Manager of Exhibitions and Public Programs, who will offer a few words about this beautiful exhibit that we're immersed in here.
Thank you so much for that introduction. We're currently in the setting of Hung Lu, Happy and Gay. Hung Lu is a renowned artist that grew up in communist China, and this body of work is about her unlearning the myths and the lies that she was taught as a child in Shōrenshu, these little children's reader books. And so we have a selection of the books that are available in a case in the back setting there, where I encourage you to walk around the exhibition and see how what we're informed and what we learn as we grow up affects us as adults. That Hung Lu immigrated to California in the United States and lived a balanced life where half of her life was in China and half of her life was in the United States. And we're excited to host a variety of upcoming public programs. You can sign up for our mailing list on the counter or online if you're interested in joining us for any future performances. But Hung Lu really became famous for her body of work depicting female laborers and people of a working class. If you think about the history of art and who deserved portraiture for a long time, it was really royalty, the wealthy, people that were able to commission portraits. And so she has these really beautifully painted and rendered workings of the working class. And so I encourage you to walk around and enjoy them. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am beyond thrilled to light it up on a Tuesday with y'all. We will begin with music, then dialogue, then more music to close the program around 5:30, followed by mocktails and nibbles, which I'll remind you again, but those are not permitted in the gallery space itself, just in the lobby area right outside it. We have takeaway containers for those observing Ramadan. I close this introduction with a few words from Aunt Anne on the virtue of creative responsibility to which we are all called in these times of uncertainty and change. Before I add those words, I missed a paragraph here. I would like to name 2 Jesuit-educated ancestors who are inspiring the courageous and creative act of orchestrating this wild little event. They are Gusty, an 8-year-old member of Georgetown's 272, who has accompanied me since grad school here, and William Charles Garrity, my cousin Bill, and Anne's beloved nephew, who we lost in September. And now these words from Anne. To be sure, the values of God's realm, love, justice, peace, truth, are never fully realized on earth. But as baptized persons, we are called to use our talents and especially our creativity in their pursuit. What problems of our religious and secular cultures call upon the creativity of each of us for solutions today? To what new paths, I wonder, is the eye of love inviting us? Thank you. And now we have the wonderful and new member of campus ministry at Georgetown, Reverend Kara Rockhill, to offer our opening blessing.
I first want to thank everyone for having a mocktail named after my bishop. So the Lord be with you. Very Catholic response. Forgot to read the room, sorry. Loving God, I come to you today because I stand on the shoulders of a generation of women who fought a fight so that I didn't have to. And as I stand in this room with women who are fighting the fight, and people who are fighting the fight, we are reminded that we are all striving to serve you, God, to answer your call, and to live into who you have created us to be. We ask this day that you empower all those who are gathered here virtually and of like heart to continue in the work that is before us. Guide our hands, our hearts. Bless the hands and hearts that have come before. And may this night be filled with your joy, your presence, and your laughter. In your loving Son's name, amen.
having me. I want to introduce Felipe Pacanella, and I want to do this song that came through as something that really wanted to be sung today. And I'm not exactly sure why. I have some ideas, but I just listened to the guidance, so I don't really know the song in terms of the lyrics, so I am going to look at the lyrics. But the gist of it is talking about what patriarchy tells women that they can and can't do, and how at the end of a life, a woman can find herself looking back and having regret for having followed the rules of a system that never fully valued her. So this is a song by Tracy Chapman. It's called All That You Have Is Your Soul. My mama told me, 'cause she said she learned the hard way. She said she wanna tell the children. She said don't give or sell your soul away, 'cause all that you have is your soul. Don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. I was a pretty young girl once. I had dreams, I had high hopes. Married a man who stole my heart away. Gave his love, but what a high price to pay. And all that you have is your soul. Why was I such a young fool? Thought I'd make history, making babies was the best I could do. Thought I'd make something could be mine forever. Found out the hard way, one can't possess another. And all that you have is your soul. I thought I could find a way. Be the system, make a deal and have no debts to pay. Take it all, not turn away. Make a debt, have a deal and have no debts to pay. Me for myself, first class and first rate. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. Don't be tempted by the shiny apple. Don't you eat of a bitter fruit. Hunger only for a taste of justice. Hunger only for a world of truth. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. Here I am, waiting for a better day. Second chance, a little luck to come my way. Hope to dance, hope that I can dream again. Wake in a world with a clear conscience and clean hands. 'Cause all that you have is your soul. All that you have. All that you have. All that you have. All that you have. your soul. Thank you. So this next song is one of my compositions, and Jane did a thing here. Jane is what we call in Brazil esperta. So clever person. So there's layers to what's happening here as we talk about the ordination of women in the Catholic tradition. I am singing, representing a tradition called Candomblé in Ifa, and I'm a priest in that tradition, which is, oh, thanks. It is based on the spiritual practices brought by Africans to Brazil through the Middle Passage and the slave trade that they held on to and managed to, under the guise of Catholicism, continue practicing in secret through the experience of enslavement, as so many peoples throughout the diaspora did, in Cuba and Haiti and New Orleans and other places. So I just wanted to let y'all know that there's another layer of something happening here. And speaking of, there's some water on the table there that has gold flakes in it. And gold is an energy, a very powerful, transformative energy. Water, as we know, is a conductor, is a connector, is a life giver, very much representing the divine feminine principle. And there's flowers, beautiful flowers, Lenten roses, you said, from Jane's garden. And when I found out that this event was happening at this gallery and where it was, and I realized that it was across the street from those stairs, I said, let's take the energy that we generate in the space that we're creating and cleanse that legacy from those steps. So I want you to, send your vibrations of cleansing and clearing, and again, the levels, right? What we can do in this vibration. So sending the love, sending the cleansing, sending the clearing vibrations, power into that water, and then after we finish tonight, we're gonna take it to those steps and wash them down. So this is a song about my journey to priesthood. It's about my initiation process and kind of reconnecting with the tradition that it took a long time for me to come back to, because it was yanked from my ancestors, because the United States, for the most part, wasn't Catholic. I grew up in a Baptist tradition and didn't have a connection to these ancestral practices, but I found my way back to them, and that's what this song is about. The ways of my ancestors, years spent yearning for the chance to be sequestered in a timeless space of healing, training for the hour when I turn this feeling into power. And finally my time to fly is here. I'm learning how to walk right through my fear, knowing that loving me is what's essential to manifesting my divine potential. Dreaming leads me
me to the source of holy water. There I'm baptized as she claims me as her daughter. Now I'm listening to the voices of the Spirit pouring music into my soul. Can you hear it? I'd been suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder. Generations of pain held me hostage at the border of annihilation till I heard the singing of the mother calling to me, and I turned toward her.
Thank you. So we got one more song for y'all in this set. It's another composition of mine called The Healing Room. And we have the lovely Nadia Danielle who's going to join us on this song. Thanks to Jane for connecting us. Very excited for all this to flow forth from us connecting for this event. So this is a song that I wrote when I was living in New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans for almost 20 years. I'm a DC native, but was there for many years and came back 5 years ago. And this song I wrote when I feel like I had heard about one more black boy being killed by police, like a young child. And this song came through. And so it's for that population specifically, and it's for all of us who on this human journey find ourselves at different moments in need of healing, and affirming that that energy, that space is always available to us, and we can find our way to it when we need it. So there's a part for y'all to sing on this. I like to get the people singing. So go ahead and, take a sip of whatever you have and and clear your throats, and you'll find your way to it. know you're a Catholic, but we in a different kind of church right now. There you go. Come inside. This is your part, listen. Come inside. Come inside. The healing room. Come inside. Come inside. Come inside. The healing room.
Your blood stained by the memory of devastation. Whether your mind knows your history or not. And though there are those who would love to see your elimination, baby, your right to the tree of life is what you got.
Yeah, nah, yeah. So come inside. This is y'all's part. Come inside. Come inside. The healing room. Come inside. Come inside. Come inside. The healing room. You've been stumbling along the path of self-destruction. A few addictions and other afflictions are your heirlooms. But remember, your DNA is a spiral that's encoded with survivor. And your future lies inside the healing room. So
Come inside.
that's it. Come inside. Come inside the healing room. Come inside. Come inside. Come inside the healing room. From glory to the slave ship, from the auction block to master's whip. Those who made you, those who made you, those who made you knew that if Harriet could guide that train to freedom again and again, there's no limit to the wonders you can do. So come inside. Come inside. Come inside the healing room. Come inside. Come inside. Come inside the healing room. She got Felipe. Yeah. Yeah, Felipe.
There's no door, there's no lock, and there's no key. No combination, oh no, and no passcode to crack. And if your demons there should chase you, there'll be strong arms to embrace you. Just remember that your ancestors got your back. So come inside, come inside, come inside the healing room. Come inside, come inside, come inside the healing room. Last time. Come inside, come inside, come inside the healing, the healing, the healing. Thanks, y'all. Nadia Danielle, Felipe Pacanella. We'll be back for a little short set a little later. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. My heart is racing. I feel like another year of the woman just started. So thank you. My name is Kate McAwee. I'm the executive director of the Women's Ordination Conference, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Katie Lace, and I am the program director at the Women's Ordination Conference.
It's an honor to be with you all. I want to say a huge thank you to Jane and the Georgetown community and our sponsors for having the Women's Ordination Conference at this incredible event celebrating so much. International Women's Day, the 50th year of the Women. It's the 50th anniversary of the Women's Ordination Conference, and so we're just very excited to be here, and especially to lift up the memory of Anne Patrick. So I'm going to start with a story that I think sort of it captures some of the heartbeat of the work of the Women's Ordination Conference. So I want to bring you back to Rome in 2018. About 20 of us were gathered outside the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the former office of the Inquisition, and we were watching bishops flood into a synod meeting. Women were allowed to be in this meeting, but they were few. There were about 10 women who were allowed to be observers at this meeting. No women were allowed to vote. The men were allowed to vote. Women could listen, offer consultation. So we decided to gather our global friends together and be there to welcome the bishops into this meeting and to remind them that we see them, we see what you're doing behind closed doors, and we don't think it's okay. So we gathered together and we prepared, the back row choir was the name of our group there, and we prayed first. We said 2 Hail Marys, we prayed together, and then we started calling out the names of the bishops as we saw them with the chant, "Knock, knock, who's there? More than half the church." I'd call out their names, knock, knock, who's there? More than half the church. So some bishops greeted us, embraced us, said, thank you so much, we'll carry this with us as we walk in these doors. Others tried to scurry past us, but after about 20 minutes, which is much longer than we thought we would be able to stand there, our voices were getting hoarse. We went through the whole program many times, like, again, knock, knock, who's there? More than half the church. A terrorism unit, a police unit came to greet us. and a police officer in plain clothes came and grabbed my arm because he noticed that I was sort of coordinating or leading. I had been plucked off to do a couple interviews, and he grabbed my arm and he yelled in my face, "Silencio, silencio, quiet, quiet." And I had this moment of, you could stop and say, I should probably listen to this man. He's telling me what to do. And I was like, no, that's exactly why we're here. And so we used the most powerful tools that we had as women, which were our bodies and our voices and our presence. And in that moment, a swarm of women had a feminist response to this violence that was happening. And this group of women surrounded me and the police officer, still holding my arm. So he was very surprised at this, and it was just an incredible act of solidarity that came together. The photos that were taken from that action went all over the world. The New York Times called us Vatican suffragettes. And the question of women being able to vote at the synods became a main conversation point at every press conference throughout that month. So this is in 2018. And just in 2021, one woman was announced having the position that would entail a vote at the synods. So in Vatican years, that's a very short amount of time from when women were basically being arrested outside the Vatican to having one woman vote. And I actually was quoted in the New York Times that time saying, what are they afraid of, one woman voting? So actually, they called my bluff. But quickly more women were able to vote. So it just 2 years ago, we saw for the first time 54 women were able to vote at a synod meeting at the Vatican. So So in our line of work, you don't have a lot of successes, but this was an incredible crack in the stained glass ceiling that shows that what happens when grassroots communities come together, women raise their voices and put their bodies on the line. You gather together, you get the media attention, and you persist. So it takes a long time for these things to happen normally, and we're continuing to see the evolution of this change, more women flooding the rooms. And it's not just women sitting in the back. They're sitting at round tables, working in collaboration with bishops. So I like to tell this story because I think it really gets to the heart of what we do, sort of standing alone. What I didn't tell you is that the first protest for this Votes for Catholic Women campaign was in 2015 when two of us stood in St. Peter's Square alone with just two signs alone. And so just 3 years later, we had about 25 people from around the world. So standing, sort of blazing a trail, clearly communicating what the Vatican is doing. I think that's a strength of the Women's Ordination Conference, is sort of letting them know that we see what they're doing, we're holding them accountable, and just sort of making sure that other people understand what the Vatican are doing. Grassroots organizing, coming up with a creative chant. Those knocks were heard around the world, and it's one of our favorite chants that we use to this day. It just gets the message across. And also just persistence, so to continue, and eventually to succeed.
Thanks, Kate. And the other reason one of the other reasons we like to share this story today is to honor and give a living example of the words of Anne Patrick, who is the inspiration behind this whole series. And there are a few ways that this relates to some of what she talks about in her Madaleva lecture in 2009. She talks a lot about creative responsibility, and when she does that, she draws in a number of examples, including this idea from the theologian Walter Wink about creative opposition and creative nonviolence. And in this moment that Kate brought us back to in 2018, we were enacting that creative nonviolence. We were not passive. We were confrontational in our approach, and yet we did it with respect for our own dignity, for their dignity, and we made it so that, as Anne said, it changes the dynamics of an oppressive relationship and turns the power of an evildoer against himself. So the whole world saw this image of this police officer grabbing Kate's arm as, again, this feminist, this example of feminist solidarity surrounded her. And the other element of this is how it really exemplifies Ann Patrick's idea of creative responsibility. And she talks about that as the ability to think independently and to take risks for the sake of helping to improve life for oneself and one's neighbors. And that is something that we believe is at the heart of what we do. We take risks because we believe that the church can be better, that the world can be better for women. And, Ann Patrick talks about thinking independently, and I'd like to add to that and say that what we also do is we think interdependently. When Kate was confronted by the policeman, the kind of natural instinct of this group was to surround and protect and stand in solidarity. And that comes out of years, decades for some people, of thinking interdependently and creatively, and knowing that creative risk is what makes change.
Thanks, Katie. So I'm going to lift up another quote from Ann Patrick and tell another story about the Women's Ordination Conference. Ann writes, "The creatively responsible moral agent will return again and again to the values and concerns that motivate her to desire a solution to the problem calling for her response." And so, as I mentioned, the Women's Ordination Conference is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. We trace our roots to Mary B. Lynch, who is very, what I've read about her is that she was a very quiet person, sort of someone who didn't seek the limelight. But she was, similar to Jane, a connector. She was a communicator. She was writing letters to her friends and sharing her desire to be a deacon, actually, and to be prepared for the Roman Catholic Church to open its doors to her ministry. So in December 1974, she wrote a letter to her friends saying, what about women's ordination? Should we work on this issue? And just a few months later, 31 of Catholic leaders got together to start to plan the Women's Ordination Conference that included Ann Patrick as one of the task force members. So Mary B. Lynch was a very quiet woman, but she was a woman with a pen and a plan. She was seeking community, and she was willing to work for great change. And so I think we walk in her footsteps. The conference sort of became bigger than Mary B. Lynch, and we live into her vision of it every day. But that idea of one woman asking one question, suddenly finding out that she's not alone.
Yeah, and I think, we love to harken back to the lore of the first conference, which gathered over 1,000, around 1,200 women, and had an overflow room in the Sheraton where they listened to the audio of the conference from where they were. And, we believe that from the beginning, we were very much, the Women's Ordination Conference was very much in the spirit of enlarging the space of the tent, which, for those of you who follow Catholic news, is a theme that came out of the 3-year synod on synodality from 2021 to 2024, convened by Pope Francis. And sometimes the challenge of being someone who talks about Catholic issues is that you have to use phrases like synod on synodality. But it was basically a global process of consultation and discernment about what is the church called to be in the 21st century, in the third millennium. And it started with grassroots consultation and moved its way up and up until these conversations that took place in the Vatican over a couple of years. And we at the Women's Ordination Conference, when we heard the invitation from Pope Francis that was offered at the beginning of this Synod on Synodality, this invitation to dialogue and to conversation, to talk about what is on the minds and the hearts of people in the church today, we knew that we wanted to be authentic, dialogue partners engaging with integrity, and offering a space for the people of our community, people who are often who have been very wounded by the church, maybe have very complicated relationships with the institutional church, to offer them a space to know that their voice would be heard and that we would carry it forward through the synodal process to the Vatican.
So I think the question that Anne Patrick leaves us is, to what paths, I wonder, is the eye of love inviting us? And the answer to that we've found at the Women's Ordination Conference is the synodal path. So as Katie mentioned, we did a lot of uphill work of talking to women who have long been harmed by the church, who are distrustful of Vatican processes, to engage with this process, to share their hopes and dreams. And so we did that wholeheartedly and with integrity, but we were also very committed to being uncompromising. And so we brought our usual trademark ministry of irritation to Rome and made sure that our work was visible, that these voices were not going to be erased, even if they may not be in the room. We were on the prophetic edges of the synodal process. And so we came up with different ideas to be able to ask this very old question in new ways. So for example, we had a huge banner, a purple banner of sort of our own tent that we were unveiling to widen the space of the synodal tent. So we had a big banner that said "Ordained Women" in front of the Basilica of St. Peter's. And then another example is this year, the phrase that we kept hearing over and over again in the media is, the Vatican might kick the can down the road again. They're going to kick the can down the road. And so we use sort of the iconic Andy Warhol can images to evoke that and say, don't kick the can down the road. Women can be priests. And so we used that as a theme. We made joyful noise with cans that I collected so that we could kick those around. We had a poster campaign around Rome. So it's just sort of getting that sort of clever but smart, but just saying that we're paying attention, and we don't want this conversation to not be centered throughout the synodal process. So the synod has ended in a lot of ways. So the meeting concluded in October of this past year with a final document that many felt was disappointing. It was very theological, and so for someone in the pews of a church, it may not resonate exactly. So many women felt betrayed, or just felt like there was nothing that came out of it. Not that they hadn't been heard, but that their voices were heard and no action came forth. And so right after the synod ended, we galvanized and built, taking that momentum, called the Catholic Women's Strike Campaign.
Yeah, so the Catholic Women's Strike Campaign is something that we had been sitting with for a number of years. We had actually initially planned to start the Catholic Women's Strike Campaign in March of 2020. And then everyone was absent from church for a while. So we put that on hold, and we realized, as Kate said, that there was just such a strong feeling of disappointment and of like hopes and expectations not being met from this synod, from this years-long process. And so we launched our strike campaign, which is calling on the women of the Global Catholic Church to withhold their time, their resources, and their labor from the church during this Lenten season of 2025. And we do that to make what is the often invisible labor of women visible, to no longer wait for the hierarchy to say yes, because we know that they just use these stalling tactics of more study is needed, the time is not right, it's not a mature question. And so instead of waiting for that yes, we, through the strike, are issuing forth our no and saying that we will not wait any longer. And so we are a week and a half into, or is that right? A week? Not even quite a week? It's been a long few days. We are in the beginning stages of the strike, and we have this incredible global grassroots uprising that's happening that's been really incredible to see. So we have heard from people both all around the United States and globally who are participating in this in their own unique and creative ways. And I think we've been particularly inspired seeing some of our partners and co-conspirators in Europe really just taking off with this at full speed. And so we have groups in Spain and in France that are just like this one woman that we collaborate with said, oh, the media is going crazy here. And so they're getting, television news, they're getting eyes on this effort. And it's really inspiring because we see this younger generation of women coming in these countries and really stepping up and choosing to engage in this creative process of creative responsibility in changing the church.
So we have a few questions. I know you all have submitted in your registrations, and then we're happy to take questions from the audience as well. So let me just see what we have here. So this is a question related to the strike. Why strike now when the most vulnerable people need the help of Catholic charitable organizations, now more than ever? So I think one of the responses that we have to this kind of question is that we're not striking from aid. We're not striking from even Pope Francis or a person in general. It's really, our strike is about systems of oppression that harm. So we're not asking people to not participate in ways that they're healing, being part of the healing rooms of the Catholic Church. And we recognize that a strike can look different for different people. So I know in certain communities that would really be devastating. And so thinking of other creative ways to witness, to have challenging conversations, to shift how you show up or don't show up. But that doesn't mean harming people who need aid the most. Do you want to add anything?
I think that really, I think, gets at the heart of it. It's been interesting having conversations with people who want to participate and the real and honest tension that they feel of, I serve meals for people who are homeless. I do children's religious education. We know that these ministries are valuable, and we also know that showing the worth and the value of women's labor and ministry is really important to moving where the church needs to go, for continuing on that path where the eye of love is inviting us. And so I think people really have been very thoughtful and creative about how they're engaging, even if they're not choosing to physically absent themselves from the ministries that they do.
Yeah. This question is, since the Pope wants to reduce clericalism, why should we add to the problem by bringing women into the priesthood? Do you want to start?
I love this question because, we never seem to ask, well, why are we still bringing men into the priesthood? Clericalism is a real issue. Of course it is. We see it as one of one of those systems of oppression that we have to work against, and to reduce the calls from God that women and people of all genders experience from God to ordained ministry, to just a desire for power over or authority, is really disingenuous. The women who experience calls to ordained ministry do so out of a deep love of the church, a deep relationship to their faith, a deep relationship to God, and they are not seeking to embed themselves in clerical power structures. They're seeking to serve the people of God sacramentally. And so it's a very frustrating dismissal of what is as real and as deeply discerned and as valuable as any male priest's journey to priesthood. It's not simply a power grab. Would you like to add to that?
No, that's beautiful. Do you want to? Matthew.
So we have a question about some of our broader connections and influence. And someone wrote in with a question, is this issue relevant to global power structures? And tell us about your work with the United Nations.
So the Women's Ordination Conference is an NGO in consultative status with the United Nations. And so we use this privilege to be able to offer comment, participate in policy discussions, work with states and other NGOs on a faith-based way to advance human rights, and also to be a prophetic Catholic voice, a feminist Catholic voice at the United Nations, when so often that Catholic voice is singular and a part of the Holy See. The Holy See is very overly active in especially the Commission on the Status of Women meetings, which we find ironic as a country, a state that doesn't practice gender equity, to be so involved in these conversations. And so we use our position to offer an alternative voice as a feminist Catholic voice. So we'll be going there next week as part of the Commission on the Status of Women meetings, reflecting on 30 years from the Beijing 1995 sessions where Hillary Clinton said human rights are women's rights, women's rights are human rights. And the Holy See was very involved in that, in those conversations. And we see the roots and the growth of those roots in the work of the United Nations today. Often the Holy See will be a sort of unholy partner with other states that work to disadvantage women in different societies. And so I think it's important to, when we talk about women's ordination, to say that the Catholic Church is the only religion that has a permanent observer status at the United Nations. And that's a huge privilege around the world, which means that they also have diplomatic relations with every country in the world. They have soft power, all day long. And so if the way that the Catholic Church treats women is exported and replicated around the world. And so if we can do something to expand the Catholic Church's witness, which could be so much deeper and more authentic and powerful if it truly included women in all of its leadership positions. And so we try to raise that up over and over again at the United Nations. And I think it sort of underscores that we don't want to tear down the Catholic Church. We want to infuse it with the gifts and love and energy and expertise and skills of women at every level. We see that from the charity works and the diplomatic work all the way to the altar. Do you have plans to speak to Washington's new Cardinal McElroy?
In fact, we feel good about the reality that we actually do already have a relationship with Cardinal McElroy. And, part of what we do that gets a lot of attention is what Kate referenced earlier, which is this ministry of irritation, which is creative and vibrant and visible witnesses at kind of crucial moments to put forth the issues of women's equality in the church very clearly before the eyes of the church. And so that's a very important part of what we do. But the other part of what we do that is equally valuable is to maintain lines of dialogue and do our best to maintain lines of open dialogue within the institution. And so that's why we participated in and engaged in the synod in good faith. And it's why we reach out to bishops and cardinals and invite them to real and sincere conversations. And so I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about what those interactions with Cardinal McElroy have been like.
No, I think there's a real value in continuing to attempt dialogue with patriarchy to a point. And so at the opportunities that we have, we try to witness uncompromisingly to our mission, to raise up the voices of the women in our movement, and any opportunity we get to do that. But I think it's a part of our advocacy is to be people, to be part of the church, to represent that we are part of the church just like everyone else. We're not just a campaign, we're not just a slogan, we're not just a placard on a street. We're parishioners, we're Catholics in good faith. And so I think anything we can do to deepen those relationships through encounters, personal encounters, letters, and a couple placards on the side, that doesn't hurt either. But we are grateful that there are a few and hopefully more bishops who are willing to have those conversations. And I think the Synod on Synodality provides a very clear invitation to be in dialogue with one another and wade through those tensions that we may experience. Should we open the questions up to this room? Yes.
You spoke about the next generation, and I was just curious what makes you most hopeful. And I was wondering what within your structure is particularly attractive to the next generation in terms of activism.
I'm just going to repeat that question so that it went over the microphone. So you were referencing that we talk about the next generation, and you were curious about what makes us hopeful about the next generation. And tell me the second part one more time.
What within your organization is particularly activating and attractive?
And so what within our organization is particularly attracting to them or activating to them? So.
Yeah, I think there's maybe two parts that I would answer. I mean, we have a very active young feminist network that has about 450 people under 40 who are interested in navigating the tensions of their faith with others. So bringing their tough questions. A lot of these people are in Catholic colleges or universities and either feeling isolated in their feminism or in their gender or their sexuality. And so we try to create brave spaces for them to come together and experience their faith, talk through it and be authentic, show up authentically. So I think that's a piece of the work that gives us a lot of hope. Me personally, I've really enjoyed working with our global partners. There's a burgeoning group in Poland, of all places, that it's been several years, but they finally have registered as an organization, and it's all young people. Young women who are ready to take action. So working with them and talking through like what is possible in that context in their culture, and the creative resistance that they're so comfortable with, but are working with WALK to sort of figure out what makes the most sense to them. So I think our global partners and the energy that comes from the younger women in those movements especially is exciting. I mean, the women's ordination movement in the United States has been doing this for 50 years, but we're unique in that sense. And so we're seeing groups like WALK sort of spring up around the globe. And so they're in their early days, their early years of feminist theology, of walking the walk, of inclusive liturgy, and really an emboldening time. So to me, that's very exciting to see.
Yeah, I'd echo everything Kate said, and I think we're here talking about like conscience and the creative process. I do think that our creativity is one of the things that sets us apart as an organization, and I think that is compelling, both kind of spiritually and visually, aesthetically, and we do a good job of putting it out there, if I do say so myself. Like our social media is strong, our communications are strong. We work really hard to make sure not just that we do these things, but that they are seen. And I think that when people see it, they can't help but be drawn into it. And just one other note I would say is we've had a really lovely dynamic that keeps playing out over our virtual events that we've had kind of since COVID, where we'll have some sort of gathering, a liturgy, a conversation, and we will have one person there at least who will say, "Oh, I was at the first conference. I've been with you all for 50 years." And then someone else will say, "I just found you guys. I didn't know that you existed. Like, this is so exciting. This is my first time." And so I think
happens at every meeting.
Every time. It's really funny. And so I think it's also heartening for these younger women, these younger people who are coming in to see that they are entering this broader community, and that they're not alone.
Yeah, and the movement isn't fly by night, that they're entering a legacy, a living legacy, that they have ancestors, they have people they can be mentored to by. So I think that's another, that they're entering into something that's very attractive to the young people. Okay, well, thank you so much for your attention and your enthusiasm for our work. We're very grateful for the opportunity to share with you, and we hope to continue the conversations as we mingle through the gallery. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
Kate, would you, first of all, I love that conversation. Would you share with us again the last quote from Auntie Anne?
To what paths, I wonder, is the eye of love inviting us?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to let that hang in the air a little bit before this next song. And give thanks, Katie, for you naming people of all genders, that this liberatory work lift up trans folks as well who are under such vehement attack just for existing, when this is all, at the end of the day, from what I understand, supposed to be about love.
Then the rainstorm came over me, and I felt my spirit break. I had lost all of my belief, you see, and realized my mistake. But time threw a prayer to me, and all around me became still. I need love, love's divine. Please forgive me now, I see that I've been blind. Give me love, love is what I need to help me know my name. Through the rainstorm came sanctuary, and I felt my spirit fly, found all of my reality. And I realized what it takes. I need love, love's divine. Please forgive me now, I see that I've been blind. Give me love, love is what I need to help me know my name. Oh, I don't bend, don't break. Show me how to live and promise me you won't forsake. Love can help me know my name. Though I tried to say there's nothing wrong, when inside I felt me lying all alone. Oh, the message here was plain to see. Believe. That I've been blind. Give me love, love is what I need to help me know my name. Oh, I don't beg, don't break. Show me how to live and promise me you won't forsake. Love can help me know my name. I need love, love's divine. Please forgive me now, I see that I've been blind. Give me love, love is what I need to help me know my name. I need love.
Okay, it's another church song. This is another one that y'all can join in on relatively easily.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning on everlasting arms. Oh, how blessed to walk in this pilgrim way, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how bright the path grows from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Yeah. Felipe, leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Let's do the chorus one more time. Leaning, Lord, I'm leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning, I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on the everlasting Good job, y'all. Okay, this is another song that just like wanted to come through into this space today. It's a song by an artist named Desiree. And some of you might recognize it. If you do, feel free to sing along. Listen as your day unfolds. Challenge what the future holds. Try to keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you fears. Go ahead, release your tears. Stand up and be counted. Don't be ashamed to cry. You gotta be bad. You gotta be bold. You gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta sit together. All I know, love will save the day. Herald what your mama said, read the books your auntie read, try to solve the puzzles in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you, others take a different view. My, oh my, yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta stay calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Time asks no questions, it goes on without you, leaving you behind if you can't stand the pace. The world keeps on spinning, can't stop it if you try to. The best part is danger staring you in the face. Listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds, try to solve the puzzles in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you, others take a different view. Yeah. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be hard, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Time don't ask no questions, it goes on without you, leaving you behind if you can't stand the pace. The world keeps on spinning, can't stop it if you try to. The best part is danger staring you in the face. Listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds, try to keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you fears, go ahead, release your tears, stand up and be counted, don't be ashamed to cry. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. 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 I know that love will save the day. I know that love will save the day. I know, 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 I know. Do you know? 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 Love will save the day.
Thanks, y'all. Oh, thank you, Carol. Thank you. Okay, we got one more for y'all. I'm going to invite Nadia Danielle back up. It's just a chant, really. After which I'm so honored that Jane decided to take part of the title for this gathering. It's called Love Wins. And I actually recorded this song with some humpback whales back in October. So there's a recording on all the streaming platforms. You can find it, called Love Wins. And it's me singing underwater with humpback whales. I brought this song to them. I've been doing this project, Whale Whispering, for 7 years now. And this song I had never exchanged with the whales, but it felt like time this past year with everything that's happening. And I actually composed this chant like maybe 9 or 10 years ago. And it was like, no, it's time to bring this to the whales. And for the first time, I had the experience of a whale like singing whole melody back to me. And you can hear that on the recording. So this has a very special place in my heart, and I felt like it would be a good way to wrap up the gathering. So we're going to do it a cappella, and it's really just a chant. So as you hear it and get it, please join in. Let's get some harmonies going. Let's raise this vibration and kind of like seal this gathering with the affirmation that love wins. And send it into this water. Remember the water. Love wins, love wins, love wins, love wins. That's the whole thing. Love wins, love wins, love wins. Love wins, love wins, love wins, love wins, love wins, love wins, love wins. Love wins, 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 love wins. One more time. Love wins, love wins, love wins, love wins. Thanks so much, y'all. Felipe Pacaniela, Nadia Danielle, I'm Michaela. Thanks so much. Thanks for inviting us, Jane.
What an incredible program, made more whole by the community of people in this space and your energy and everything you sent to this healing water. So thank you all. Thank you for coming tonight. It's great to see you. And thanks to everybody online as well. We'll close out with a little mingling. We have 2 festive mocktails that are available in the vestibule over there. And then, of course, we invite everybody to enjoy the art, but don't do them together. There's no food or drink in the gallery, so step out there. And I want to tell you the two cocktail names. Alice has been very patient with me as I got excited about these cocktails, mocktails. They are non-alcoholic. So the first one is the Reverend Redbud cocktail. Reverend Booty, I think is how she pronounces it. Anyway, and it honors this powerful Episcopal bishop who, shared her deep faith and conviction in a way that really we all should aspire to. And also it honors the lesser known but more appreciated in some ways tree of the area, the native redbud. That's one of my favorites. And then the other drink is Purple Rain, REIGN, and that one has the butterfly pea flower that makes it beautiful purple when you combine it with lemonade. So please enjoy. There's little festive drink umbrellas and mocktail mermaids you can put on the side of your glass. Help yourself to those and enjoy. And thanks everybody for coming tonight.